Winter vehicles have always been a very interesting topic for modelers. These vehicles give us the opportunity to apply effects of mud, rust, and others. But it's very important to see real images, especially when we want to make a winter camo. Sometimes the effects we think may be white can be effects of dust and dry mud over the vehicle. Perhaps the most attractive point of winter camouflage is that we can make our model in many different ways. So a single tank can look very faded and dirty or practically new, but showing some scratches. In addition, the contrast between white camouflage and the original tank color should add an extra interest to our idea. Therefore, winter topics are one of the preferred topics for many modelers. In the models prepared for this DVD, we have tried to put the most common examples. We have avoided oddities such as camouflage works done with chalk or other uncommon paintworks. This volume is intended to explain how to make the most popular effects among modelers so you can use it as a starting point for more complex and original future projects. But for now, we just want to give our models a more realistic look. As previously mentioned, the variety and examples we could find in real pictures is almost endless, from hard-edge camouflage painted vehicles to AFVs painted using brooms or brushes. Although not all vehicles were always painted with white, sometimes the snow was camouflage. Now, get ready to enjoy the fascinating world of winter camouflage vehicles. For many years, the winter topics were one of my favorite subjects along with the Africa core subjects. They are an endless source of inspiration. Any scene or diorama always becomes more dramatic and realistic. Perhaps German and Russian vehicles are always chosen because of the numerous battles that took place on the Russian front during the winter campaigns. Also, geographic characteristics of the Russian front were very adverse. Wind, humidity, mud, and rain produced terrible effects on vehicles such as fading, chipping, rust, mud, and all kinds of accumulated dirt. And let us not be confused by original photographs. The white color was never clean. The neat effect of the black and white photos is a result of the overexposure of the negatives due to extreme contrast of light, where it seems to be only black and white, and intermediate gray colors tend to disappear. Therefore, I strongly recommend you to take a look at the modern color photographs. Only then will you discover many of the effects of which some I created in my models. Let's start by doing a simple winter camouflage over a classic German dark yellow. Over a Tamiya acrylic base, apply the transfers or decals and protect them with a coat of satin varnish. To avoid any damage on the unit emblems with the white color, we could use a bit of blue tack to protect them. We will apply the camouflage using a mixture of 60% Tamiya white and 40% satin varnish. To the resulting mixture, we will add 40% lacquer thinner. The thinner could be made by Gallanotes, Tamiya, or Mr. Hobby. Although in this case we are mixing it all up in the opposite order, it is better if we do it outside the airbrush and in the appropriate order. I do it this way to save time, but I recommend you to do it more accurately by taking your time. After checking that the paint dilution is correct, we will begin by making the worn camouflage. We must avoid covering the entire surface. We must leave visible irregular areas of the base color below. We must especially leave free of white paint the outer edges or areas. We can use paper as a masking tool for sharper parts or panels. In the back of the truck, we will camouflage different shapes of curved lines. Vehicles painted with various types of camo patterns were very common in the Second World War. Once completed, we remove the blue tack mask that is protecting the unit marks and the numbers. We'll do the chipping on the white color with the base color. A fine brush and any acrylic color will work. The first step to soil and unify the whole thing would be to use a pair of light color filters. To learn more about filters and washes, you should check out the DVD about washes, filters, and oils. In this case, we will do some washing using AK's streaking effects diluted with white spirit. We will mix a little color with 80% white spirit and apply a brush on our opal. To clean any unwanted stains, we will use a clean brush moistened with white spirit. Now it's time for the deep chipping. A dark brown acrylic color would work perfectly. Try to be subtle and to avoid uniformity on the surface. Leave clean areas and dense chipping areas. Let's start doing the streaking grime on the sides. We can do it by using enamel paint. We will need fine brush to draw lines and a flat brush to blend them. You must notice how the lines are distributed and that each of them has a different length. Now we will stump the lines using the flat brush moistened in white spirit. It is time to do the rust stains, drawing small lines on some chipping. We will use the AK13 color rust streaks, which has been designed to create this effect, and white spirit. To increase the contrast, use white color from Humbrol to illuminate some areas. First, we paint the areas that we want to illuminate using a fine brush. And finally, we will stump them with a clean brush moistened in white spirit. Now it is time for dust and dry mud. We will use two different colors to add variety. In a bowl, mixing the two colors, we can vary the rate depending on the area to paint. We can paint some areas with a thick mixture or dilute the mixture with white spirit to apply as if they were washes. After letting it dry a few minutes, stump the stains with white spirit. In this way, we will be working all over our vehicle by using selective dusting. With the same color and plaster, we do the first layer of splattered dry mud. Always test the model to be sure we have the right consistency. quite possible that some droplets of mud do not appear very realistic. To fix it, we will use a clean brush dipped in white spirit, and we will retouch or remove it as needed. We can repeat the process by changing the colors as many times as we want to get the desired look. We've painted the canvas top in Tamiya German Field Gray, and then we painted the white camouflage with a brush and Humbrol white paint. With the colors used to create the mud, we will apply washes throughout the canopy and canvas by diluting the paint with white spirit. When the washes are dry, we will do a few new ones with darker color around the details. To finish up the effects on the truck, we will apply fuel effects by using the mixture directly. With this example, we have just seen an easy way to paint a winter camo. The process is very simple, and the mud and streaking grime are what give realism to the final model. We must not forget to maintain irregularity, leaving some areas clean and others very dirty. In addition, the contrast is essential to give an attractive look and define the forms and details. Finally, remember that, although in this case the base color was dark yellow, we can use any color because the method will be the same. There are more complex ways for painting a winter camouflage, especially when we look at a very faded effect. We will start applying a primer with black spray that will serve as a base for the humbrol green. Finally, we will have a piece of generous layers of hairspray right from the can. Just after this spray, we will apply a winter camo using Tamiya's white color. Remember that we must thin down Tamiya's colors with 60% lacquer thinner. After softly covering the green color, we will moisten the surface with water to start the fading. We will soak the surface with a flat brush, and we will rub until we start seeing the color underneath. If we didn't apply enough hairspray, we will get a very thin fade, and we will have to rub some more to get the right look. We can carefully scratch the surface with some tweezers to help intensify the fading. If we want a more intense fade, we can use alcohol instead of water. We recommend working each panel independently to avoid the hairspray getting too dry and losing efficiency. You can use masking tape to protect the areas that have already been painted. We have repeated the process, and here we can see how we start to create contrast between the different panels. For the roof, we have applied more hairspray so we can obtain larger and more contrasting chips. As we can see here, the fading is very extreme and very natural and irregular. We can also see that the chips we have made are extremely realistic. As usual, we recommend the application of some filters to unify after varnishing all of it with acrylic satin varnish. To increase the contrast and the highlights, we will whiten some areas of the faded camouflage. We will use Humbrol's matte white, and we will stump it with white spirit and a clean brush. After drawing a few irregular spots, we will stump them with a flat brush and a bit of white spirit. Now we will make white and green chips to recover the areas that have been extremely faded. Mainly, we must retouch the edges and the detail areas. We will start with the green color using the sponge technique. sponge soaked in paint, we will make large chipped areas. We can increase the contrast between panels using a piece of paper. In some areas, we should paint the chips directly with a brush. Now we will repeat the process using a white acrylic color. This way, we have given precision to the chipped areas. We shouldn't forget that the way to achieve more realism is combining different techniques. Here we have combined the hairspray technique, the sponge, and the brush to achieve the best result. Notice how we have created contrast in the different panels. With a thick brush, we will make some washes in every detail and relief. We will clean and soften the wash edges with white spirit. To create the streaking grime, we will paint some fine lines on the sides of the turret. Afterwards, using a flat brush and white spirit, we will softly stump the lines. We can also shade some details with the same color to provide more volume and deepness. Again, using Humbrol's white, we will create more highlights and shine in the smallest details. We must not exaggerate this illumination phase so it doesn't look excessive and unreal. We can also keep reinforcing and exaggerating the contrast between different panels using Humbrol's white. This way we can make the model appear more attractive, although we must do it on the small details by creating interesting lights and shadows. The deepest chips painted with acrylic will be essential for bringing clarity to the model. Apply them mostly on the edges, hatches, and smaller details. Now we will prepare the mud base, which will be distributed between the wheels and the rollers. We are going to airbrush a thin layer of Tamiya earth thinned with 60% lacquer thinner. It is important not to completely cover the surface. The look must be transparent and very soft. On the areas painted with Tamiya earth, we will apply different pigment colors with a brush. Afterwards, we will fix them applying white spirit with a thick brush. Once dried, the result seems very realistic. Now we have finished the pre-dusting phase. To make the mud, we must compile different materials to give it volume. We will need plaster, but we can add also different earths, branches, leaves, and other materials. We will also mix up the ingredients in a glass, stirring with an old brush. Now we will add a bit of water and acrylic thinner, which will help us to thicken the mud while it is drying. With the resulting mix, we will apply the mud in the lower zones and on the mud guards. First we will apply the mud directly, and then we will stump it with a bit of water and a brush. On the mudguard's horizontal zones, we will add different effects. We will make the effect of accumulated dirt and leaves as seen on this mudguard. And now, we'll see how to make it on the other side. First, we will select some leaves, thin branches, a pigment, and earth from the garden. We will let the pigment fall on the surface using a large, thick brush. Afterwards, we will set the thin branches and the leaves, which are made of paper. To permanently fix the materials, we will mix 30% enamel matte varnish with 70% white spirit. When it gets dry, the result is very realistic and the matte varnish won't be noticed. The grease in the spilled fuel will be the last step because it always has to be done over a dry mud or dust base. We must draw rounded and irregular shapes, alternating large and small ones. We recommend starting by thinning the original mix with white spirit so the last drops can be thicker. Here you can see the variability and intensity of the grease leaks. Finally, we have achieved a very realistic look of our KV2 model. The combination of different and superimposed techniques makes the model's appearance very real. But once again, the most important part is looking for irregularity and contrasts. Now you can start with your winter model. You have learned the main steps and the process. I hope you have enjoyed it. Goodbye, modelers.
Fun, baby.